So up until this point, we have done 2 of the 3 Johto starters, the first being Cyndaquil and the second being Chikorita. And while both of those had their strengths and weaknesses, I believe that Totodile is going to be the real king of the Johto region. And the reason I say that isn't just because Totodile has been my favorite starter in Gen 2 since I was a kid, but if you take a look at its base stats, you're going to see that Totodile starts off with a nice healthy round 50 HP, 65 attack, 64 defense, 44 special attack, 48 special defense, and 43 speed, rounding out with a total of 314. And that's pretty par for the course for the starters. They've all kind of been around that range, but Totodile is the only one that has really good attack and defense, which plays heavily into the early game of Johto. If we move on to Croconaw, we're going to see that trend continues, where the base stats go up to 65 HP, 80 attack, 80 defense, 59 special attack, 63 special defense, and 58 speed. So still kind of on the slower end, but still hitting like a truck with that physical attack, and still being able to tank a lot of the physical attacks that are going to come our way, which again are aplenty throughout the Johto region. Moving on to Feraligatr, our HP goes up to 85 base stat, 105 attack, 100 defense, 79 special attack, 83 special defense, and 78 speed, rounding us out at 530 total. And what that means for Feraligatr is it's going to hit really, really hard while also tanking a lot of those physical attacks. And that is something I want to stress here. This is Gen 4, and the main reason I wanted to do this in Gen 4 was because of that physical special split, and a lot of attacks that Pokemon use throughout the Johto region are physical based, at least for all of the major battles. Most of the gym leaders are going to use them, most of the rival fights are going to use them, and a good chunk of the Elite Four all use physical attacks. So that high defense is going to make us just tanky enough to take out anything we can't one-shot with our fairly decent 105 base stat. And to see that in action, we're going to take a look at its moveset here. Just by level up, you're going to see that we have Scratch, which is an alright physical attack. We do have to use Water Gun. There isn't a ton of really good water moves for Feraligatr, or for the entire line up until we get Surf. But we do have access to other moves like Bite, which is a dark type move, which is going to be really good for us because there's quite a few mons that are susceptible to dark throughout the Johto region, and we get that really early. We also get access to Ice Fang, which is something that none of the other starters really have, as in a good solve for dragon types. So having Ice Fang and getting it early is going to be really, really nice because it's going to scale off of our physical attack. It does decent base damage, and it's going to be super effective against a lot of the troubles that the other 2 starters have had. Continuing down the line, we get Crunch, which is just a better bite. We also get Slash, which is a normal type. We might not actually use that. But moving down the list, we're going to get Aqua Tail, which is a physical water move with 90 base power and only 90 accuracy. So there's a little bit of a gamble there, but that is going to scale incredibly well with Feraligatr's base stats. And something that I've kind of noticed through doing the previous 2 runs, you get a lot of physical attack EVs throughout your playthrough. Basically, all of the starters ended up with a skewed attack stat by the end of the run because of all the EVs that you get throughout the run that just go towards your attack. So without doing any special EV training, just having a base high attack stat, having a ton of level up moves with a good amount of variety that all scale off physical attack, and getting a ton of EVs that go into attack, I really think Feraligatr is going to just destroy the other 2 in terms of time to complete, the amount of losses they're going to experience, and the level they're going to be by the time they're done. And just in case there's still any doubt, if we go over to the TM list, you're going to see that there's even more really good coverage physical moves. We get access to Dragon Claw. If Ice Fang isn't enough, we can just use Dragon Claw. It isn't going to scale, but it doesn't matter. Either did Ice Fang, so Dragon Claw is just another solve for dragon types. If we scroll down, we get access to Iron Tail again, which I think all 3 of them had access to. We get access to Earthquake, which again, I think all of them have access to. We get access to Dig. We get access to Brick Break if we need a good fighting move. We get access to Aerial Ace, even though I don't think we're going to use that. We get access to Shadow Claw if we need something that's going to do stuff on Ghost. We get access to Avalanche if Ice Fang's accuracy starts to get in the way. We can just switch to Avalanche. If we get access to some nice nice support moves like Substitute. We can even have Sword Stance if we need it. We saw in Meganium that Sword Stance was really, really strong. I don't think we're going to need it for this run, but if you do run into something that's going to be a problem, you can just get Sword Stance. Well, you're probably just going to need one setup for this with how strong Feraligator's attack stat's going to be naturally. I really don't think Feraligator's going to have much of a struggle at all throughout this run. But let's put that to the test and see how things go with our first real battle. Alright, so starting off, he brings out a Pidgey. We are level 15. Gonna use Water Gun, see how much it does, and it does. It's a 2-shot. Okay, moving on to Pidgeotto. You see there, we do have Bite if we need it, but we're just using Water Gun. It uses Roost. Now we're going over to Bite, seeing if we can get a flinch, which would be really nice, but unfortunately, we're too slow, so I guess the flinch wouldn't matter anyway. And as you can see here, we're just going back and forth. I decided to switch to Leer to weaken his defense a little bit, and this is where I realized that maybe I should have done 2 Leers right away, because I just didn't have enough health to Leer it down. So I'm going to chalk that up to me just playing poorly and not Totodile actually struggling. But we're going to find out here. We're going to Water Gun the first Pidgey, Water Gun 2. All right, now we're going to go over to Leer. Start off with Leer right away. I think we're going to do 2 Leers. Yes, we do. 2 Leers. We're down to 19 HP. Gust is going to bring us down to 10, but Bite is going to take him down to half. We're at 1 HP, and it was a 2-shot with 2 Leers. Totodile kind of scraping by there, so maybe I was wrong. Maybe this is going to be a little bit harder than I thought, but we did make it through. Second try victory. First try, I'm chalking up to my poor playing on that one. But if we move forward here just a little bit, we're going to start a battle here against this random trainer. And for those of you that have been with us long enough, you know that this battle with a random trainer or just a random mon means something's going to happen, and that something is an evolution, which is another benefit that Totodile has. It does take a little bit to get from Totodile to Croconaw. You have to be level 18, which I believe is the highest level of the 3 starters. But to get from Croconaw to Feraligator, it is only level 30. And I didn't realize that, and it'll come up in a little bit. I thought it was higher level, but at level 30, you get access to Crunch, and you get access to Feraligator, which is the earliest a starter evolves in this game, and that really propels it once it gets to the mid-game, and it just makes it so much easier. If you're someone that's new here, hi, welcome. My name is Mr. Major. I do challenge runs where I play through the Gen 4 Johto games with a Pokemon evolution, meaning that I choose one Pokemon at the start and I just go through its family throughout the game, seeing how well that Pokemon family performs throughout the Johto region. And the reason I chose the 4th generation is because of the physical special split. I think it adds a lot of variety. And the run ends once we get to the Hall of Fame, and I can only use the one Pokemon and its evolutions in battle, no items in battle. I also tend to stay away from moves like Secret Power, just because I don't really want to manipulate the game to control what Secret Power I get. That just sounds kind of annoying to do, honestly, so no Secret Power, but just typical solo challenge run, as you'd expect. I do have some other Pokemon, and those are going to be my HM Pokemon, and I do try to show as much as I can. See here, this is the Proton battle. I'm kind of leaning more away from commentating on the Rocket battles, because as you can tell, there's not much to say. We do get level 21, and now we learn Ice Fang, which is going to be a permanent move, getting rid of Leer, because we just really don't need it anymore. Moving on now, we are at Bugsy, who is our 2nd gym leader, and we are going in at level 22. One thing about Bugsy, if we go in with Ice Fang, and it is going to be a 2-shot, super effective, let's go. One thing about Bugsy in this game is that he starts off with the Scyther instead of it being a final ace, which has created some problems in the past. But you can see here for Croconaw, it's not a problem. He is just sweeping through. Once Scyther is dealt with, the other 2 aren't a problem, and that was a first try victory on Bugsy. Not much to say there. Moving on to our 2nd rival battle. It's the 2nd rival battle, but it's the first one I commentate because the first rival battle, there's just nothing to talk about. It's just using Tackle and Leer. Like, there's just not much going on with it. It's not a difficult fight, and it's the same for every Pokemon. So moving on to the 2nd rival battle, he starts off with a Gas at level 14. We are level 22, about to be level 23. That Bite is a 1-shot. Let's go, and that is why it's so good. Bayleaf is going to be a 1-shot. Oh no, it's going to be a 2-shot with Ice Fang, and we do get poisoned, which kind of sucks. But as you can tell, we're still 50 HP out of 65. Gonna 1-shot the Zubat with Ice Fang, and that's the end of that fight. Not much to say there. Pretty easy sweep. Croconaw and the Totodile line is having a pretty easy time. But let's see if that's going to stay the same once we get to Whitney. And Whitney has been a interesting challenge for all the starters so far. None of them have had a clean sweep. So let's see if Totodile has a different experience. All right, so starting off, we're level 25. Clefairy comes out level 17. We're gonna hit it with Headbutt. I got Headbutt in the forest, which is another really good physical move. It's a normal move, so it's gonna do neutral damage. Unfortunately, I do get hit with the Infatuation, and I believe, just like Cyndaquil, that Infatuation is gonna be a pain in the butt, just like it always is. So far, we've been able to hit through it, but there we are, Immobilized by Love, 9 HP, and we are defeated. Because that Thirst Trap is just too strong. Moving on to the second attempt here, we're going to see if we get a little bit more lucky. Ice Fang, still not a one-shot. Probably should have just went with Headbutt, but it's a two-shot. Do get Immobilized by Love, but it doesn't matter. Out comes the Miltank. Ice Fang, not doing very much. Crunch, or Bite, also not doing very much. We're down 29 HP, and then I fall in love again, and Stomp is just doing work. Shoot. All right, third time is the charm, hopefully. Going in for Headbutt, it is a one-shot. Should have just done that. Out comes the Miltank. Go for Headbutt. We immediately get Infatuated. Stomp, and then Headbutt. Real close, but unfortunately, we're going to heal, and then we get Immobilized by Love. Then Stomp again. Immobilized by Love. Flinch. Stomp. Headbutt. Not enough. Stomp. Takes us out. Shoot. So I went ahead and battled all of the trainers that are currently available for Whitney, and my goal was to just get level 30 to get Crunch, which is what I do here. But as you can guess, I'm showing the battle, which means something happens here, and something that I already mentioned that I didn't realize through the playthrough. Level 30 is the level Croconaw evolves into Feraligatr, and that took me by surprise and kind of means Whitney is gonna be a bit of a pushover now that we have a fully evolved Pokemon with that 105 base attack stat. I didn't mean to do this. I was just going for Crunch, and I just wanted to clear out all the trainers that were available, but now it's just gonna be a complete stomp, I'm pretty sure. I don't think Whitney stands a chance. Let's find out. All right, starting out, we're going to go for a Crunch, and it's a one-shot. Out comes the Miltank. We're going to go for Crunch, and it's going to be a two-shot. But, like I said, not much of a problem, and yeah, that was kind of my fault. But I think we're going to use the experience anyway. I mean, it's going to come in handy. Being over-leveled for Whitney isn't really the end of the world because there's still a lot more trainers to go through and a lot more battles to be had. Maybe that extra experience will come through in the next coming battles, or maybe it was just the extra bit I needed to make the rest of this game a breeze. All right, so here we are at our third rival battle. Let's see if this time things are going to be different for Bob. Starting off with the Ghastly at level 20, we're level 31. Crunch is going to be a one-shot. Out comes the Bayleaf. Ice Fang is going to be a one-shot. Out comes the Magnemite, and I don't really know what the best answer is for Magnemite. I go for Crunch. It doesn't one-shot, and I get paralyzed. But out comes the Zubat, and there's the Ice Fang, and there's the one-shot. So being paralyzed wasn't a huge deal, but it could have been a huge deal, and it very well might be a huge deal in the future. But before we get to all that, we have to go through Morty, who I imagine is going to be a pretty easy fight considering we have Crunch, we have a Feraligatr, and we are a higher level. And there's just not much Morty can do. I guess if Morty can outspeed and get a Curse off, that might be a problem. He has just enough Mons to have Curse take us out, but I don't believe his Ghastly is going to be fast enough. Let's see. Go for Crunch, and we're faster, and it's a one-shot. And now we're level 34. Out comes this Gengar. Crunch is a one-shot. We're still faster, so no Curse. Haunter, one-shot. And the last Haunter, I'm imagining, is a one-shot. Morty didn't stand a chance. We had the speed, and we had the damage, and we had the type coverage. Feraligatr breezing through the Johto region. Let's see if that trend continues with the next gym. All right, so here we are at Chuck, the fighting-type gym leader. And luckily, he doesn't have much that can hurt us, I don't think. Out comes level 29 Primeape. We are level 41. We go for Ice Fang. It's going to be a two-shot. He goes for Double Team, which could be a problem, but luckily it's not. Ice Fang, two shots, and takes him out. Out comes the Poliwrath, and we go for Crunch. It doesn't do very much, so we go for Headbutt. It still doesn't do a ton, but he's not doing a ton to us with his Body Slam, so we're just going to keep using Headbutt, and that is just enough. It was a 3 or 4 shot, and down goes the Poliwrath, down goes Chuck. First try victory. Let's go for Feraligatr. And now here we are coming into what could potentially be a wall for Feraligatr. Jasmine. And even though she's a Steel-type gym leader, 2 of her 3 Pokemon have super effective moves in the form of Magnemites. And they have the option to paralyze us, and I don't think we have an option to one-shot them. We're going to go for Crunch, and it is a one-shot, but I think it was a range, and it might have even been a crit. I can't remember. Go for Crunch again, and it's going to be a 2-shot, so it definitely was a crit on that first one. Thunderbolt comes through, and it does almost half. It's going to be a 3-shot. We get it down to very little HP, but Crunch is just not enough to finish the deal. Down we go. Crap. Alright, let's try that again. Let's see if maybe we can use Ice Fang. It does very little as well, and now we're paralyzed instantly. We go for Crunch, and it misses. We go for Crunch, and it hits. Supersonic, now we're confused. We put ourselves in confusion. Thunderbolt doing work, and that Thunderbolt is doing a ton of damage because we don't have really strong special defense, and we're down again. Alright, let's give it one more try before we go experiment with things. This time, let's just go for Surf. Let's just see how much a stab does. It's a one-shot. Okay, now out comes the second Magnemite. Surf is another one-shot. And out comes the Steelix, out comes the Surf, and out comes a one-shot. I should have just done that from the beginning. This wasn't Feraligator's fault. This is my fault. I didn't use the moves that I had available to me correctly. I should have just went from Surf from the beginning. This would have been a first try victory. So, Feraligator still doing ton of work. Moving forward, now we are against our second Rocket member, Petrel. And I usually don't like to show these kind of more mundane Rocket battles, but Petrel's a little bit of a special case because even though this battle doesn't go very difficult, as you can tell, I'm basically one-shotting everything, the next battle with Petrel has historically been a problem for every starter that we've done, and I want to introduce him now just in case that trend continues. But before we get to all that, we have one more Rocket fight we have to go through, and that is against Ariana, and it is a mandatory double battle you do with Lance, which means the challenge has failed because I didn't do it all myself. Lance helped. But let's see how it goes. I am in the 40s, Lance is in the 40s, Ariana's team is not in the 40s. I don't think this is going to go very well. Starting off, we're going to go for Crunch on against the Drowsy. It's going to be a one-shot. I don't know why I didn't just do Surf. That probably would have been fine. Then I figure that out now, and it is a one-shot against both of them. So both of them get one shot. Out comes the Gloom. I don't know why I didn't use Ice Fang. Ice Fang would have been a one-shot. Doesn't matter. It's a two-shot. And out comes the Murkrow, and then there goes the Ice Fang, and there goes the one-shot. Didn't even need the Dragonite. If I would have just used Surf from the beginning, I don't think Dragonite would have even done damage. So maybe I could have done that a little bit differently. Doesn't matter. Let's see if things change at the next major battle, Price. Okay, so here we are at Price, the Ice-type gym leader. Let's see how things go if Feraligator can sweep again. Level 48 this time against the Seal. Headbutt is a one-shot. Let's go. Out comes the Piloswine. I go for Headbutt again. It's going to be a two-shot. Out comes the Hail, and it does a little bit of chip damage, but it doesn't matter. Piloswine is a two-shot. Out comes the Dugong. Headbutt is also going to be a two-shot. Aurora Beam doesn't do very much. The Hail probably do more damage than the Aurora Beam did. It's a two-shot. First try victory. Price didn't do anything to us. Let's go for Feraligator, still destroying the Johto region. And here we are at the second Petrel battle, the one that I mentioned earlier, the one that has continued to give these challenge runs a problem. It's been a challenge. Let's see how it goes for Feraligator. Starting off with Coughing, we are level 50. We're going to go for Crunch. It's a one-shot. Let's go. Out comes the Wheezing. Crunch is a two-shot, hits Sludge, but luckily we don't get poisoned. Ice Fang finishes it off. Out comes the Coughing. Ice Fang is not a one-shot. We get hit with Smokescreen. Crunch finishes it off. Third Coughing. Crunch is not a one-shot. We don't get poisoned again, luckily. And that's another two-shot. Nothing crazy so far. We're doing really good. Ice Fang not enough. There's another Smokescreen. Headbutt finishes it off. Out comes the last Coughing. This is looking pretty good. But now we start missing, and we get poisoned with Sludge. Smokescreen, poison, miss. Smokescreen, poison, miss. This is not going very well. We are down to 10 HP. We hit with Surf, level up to 21 HP. Barely made it through. Alright, so here we are at the fourth and I believe second to final rival battle. Let's see if Bob can bring it through this time. Out comes the Golbat. Gonna hit it with an Ice Fang, but we miss. Second turn, Ice Fang hits and one-shots. Let's go. Out comes the Meganium. Ice Fang, one-shots. Let's go. Out comes the Magnemite. Now I learned this time, you Surf on it and it's going to be a one-shot. Out comes the Haunter, Crunch, one-shot. And lastly, out comes the Sneasel, and I really didn't know what to use against the Sneasel. I don't have anything super effective against ice types, but Headbutt is enough neutral damage to bring us to victory. First try victory. Again, Bob is really struggling against all of these starters, but especially for Alligator. And that's something I kind of want to break down here as we have these other Rockets go in the background. There's just not much to say about the other named Rocket members. Their teams aren't even as good as the Petrel team. So we're just going to talk over them about Feraligatr and why he's doing so good. If you look at his moves, like I said in the beginning, he has a ton of coverage moves that are pertinent to the Johto region's major battles. I don't believe Feraligatr has the best move pool in the game. I don't believe he has the best typing coverage in the game. But against the trainers that are in the Johto region, against the gym leaders, against the Rockets, even against the Elite Four, Feraligatr has an answer for basically all of them that scales with its physical attack, which is not something that can be said about the other starters. They had moves that the majority of the game was able to be weak against, or the majority of the game didn't have an answer for, but there was always at least 1 or 2 battles that had something that was a hard counter to both Typhlosion and Meganium. Feraligatr just isn't having that. The closest it had to a hard counter was the Magnemites, was the Jasmine fight, but all I had to do was use the right move and that went away. And as you can see there with the Archer battle, not much to say against that one either. And we only have 1 more gym leader left before we're on to the Elite Four, and it's a Dragon type. And that might be a problem, but it also might not be. But we're about to find out if Feraligatr is going to destroy the gym leader challenge, or if Claire is going to be the same problem for Feraligatr that it was for Typhlosion. Much like this movement puzzle has consistently been a problem for me. But hey, look at that. We actually got it pretty smooth. Let's see how Claire goes. Is this going to be the difference maker like it was for Typhlosion, or is Feraligatr just built different than the other 2 starters? Let's find out. Alright, so here we are against Claire. We are level 56, Gyarados is level 38. We go for Ice Fang, it does about a third. Dragon Rage does about a quarter. Dragon Rage again, brings us down to just over half, and Ice Fang was not enough to bring it out in 2 shots. We go for Headbutt after the heal, and it is going to be a 3-shot. Out comes the Dragonair. Ice Fang is a 1-shot, super effective. Second Dragonair, Ice Fang is also a 1-shot. All we have left is the Kingdra. We go for Headbutt. It goes for Dragon Pulse, brings us down to 53. We go for Headbutt again. It heals up and hits us with Dragon Pulse again, and we go for Headbutt. It gets a critical flinch, and we are able to 3-shot the Kingdra at 14 HP. First try victory against Claire. Let's go. All we have left is the Elite Four after a little bit of a detour to the Kimono Girls, because the Kimono Girls lead us to Lugia. Let's see if Lugia is going to be different. So far, Lugia hasn't been a challenge for any of the starters. Will that change with Feraligatr? No, it won't, because Ice Fang is going to be a 2-shot, and it just doesn't have much. So all 3 starters were able to defeat Lugia with relative ease. Not much of a problem for a legendary. But let's see if that's true for the final rival battle against Bob. This is his redemption. Can Bob bring it through? Starting out with Sneasel, we are level 60. We 1-shot with the Headbutt. Out comes the Meganium. 1-shot with the Ice Fang. Now we're level 61. Out comes the Magneton. Hit it with Aqua Tail. We did get Aqua Tail finally, so we have a physical water type. Let's go. Crunch is going to be a 1-shot. Kadabra, Crunch, 1-shot. And then Golbat, Ice Fang, 1-shot. Sorry, Bob. You had 3 runs to figure it out, 3 tries to beat us, and you couldn't do it with a single one of them. Let's see if the Elite Four stands a chance, starting with Will. Alright, so we are level 61. We have not used any of our rare candies. We get confused right away, miss with Ice Fang. Second try, we hit with Ice Fang. Out comes the Jinx. We now have Earthquake. We hit ourselves in Confusion. Break out of Confusion, go for Earthquake. It's a 1-shot against the Jinx. Out comes the Exeggutor. We go for Ice Fang. It's a 1-shot. Slowbro should go for Crunch, which I do. Okay, good. Crunch, 1-shot. Let's go. Xatu, Ice Fang, 1-shot. Let's go. Will was not much of a problem. We are level 62 now. Let's see if that can stay true and the trend continues. Can we first try Koga? Alright, Koga comes out with an Ariados. We go for Earthquake. It is not a 1-shot. Hit with Poison Jab. Luckily, we actually don't get poisoned, so that saves us there. We go for Crunch, and it is just about as much as Earthquake, so it's a 2-hit no matter what. Out comes the Fortress. We go for Earthquake. Not a one-shot, brings it down to half. It's going to be a 2-hit. It goes for Poison Spikes, which doesn't matter for us. Out comes the Muck with an Earthquake, and it's a one-shot. Let's go. Crobat, Ice Fang, but the double team because Crobat's faster, and that freaking double team. I cannot hit through it. Finally hit, and it's not enough to one-shot, but it is enough to heal it out of its own healing range, which means it's going to be a 2-shot. Out comes the Venomoth. We go for Ice Fang. It's going to be a 2-shot, but he's going to heal. So we go for Crunch, see if it does anything different. It doesn't. Down goes Koga. First try victory. Would have been a lot quicker if it wasn't for that double team. Let's see if that can be true for Bruno. Alright, so Bruno comes out with a Hitmontop right away. We go for Earthquake, and it is not a one-shot, and counter brings us down to 4 HP. Full restore, go for Crunch, not enough. He withdraws and goes into Hitmonchan. I go for Earthquake, but Bullet Punch takes us out. Dang. Bruno defeated us. That's a bummer. So now we're going to go through this again. I decided to just use the rare candies that I have. Ice Fang is going to one-shot, and I believe everything here is going to be a one-shot because we are faster and we don't miss anything. Which is the nice thing about using the rare candies. It just makes things a little bit more consistent. I don't really think they were particularly necessary. There probably was a way we could have got through Bruno without needing them, but I might as well use them. It's the end of the run. So as you can see here, Will, not much to talk about. It was a one-shot all the way through. Let's see if anything's changed for Koga. Alright, so against the Ariados, we're going to see if Earthquake is enough to one-shot now, and it is. Alright, so Earthquake is one-shot. Out comes the Fortress. We go for Earthquake again. Still does about half. Luckily, it goes for Poison Spikes, and we don't care because we don't switch. Out comes the Muck. We already know it's a one-shot. Let's see if things change against the Crobat. If we go for Ice Fang, double team. Okay, here we go. Double team miss, double team miss. Come on with these evasive moves, man. They're so frustrating. But we finally hit, and it's enough to one-shot. That's good news. Out comes the Venomoth. Do we one-shot the Venomoth now? We still don't, and then we get hit with Toxic. Koga's going to heal. Ice Fang again. Toxic can do some work. Full heal again. Ice Fang again. Almost a one-shot, but that brings it down. We got through. If that poison would have hit a little bit sooner, that could have been a problem. Let's see if we can get through the Bruno with our higher level. Is Earthquake enough to one-shot? Let's find out. So we go for it. It is not enough. Counter again. 7 HP. Oh my goodness. But we get a full heal instead of a switch. We go for Aqua Tail, and it's a one-shot. Aqua Tail again. One-shot. Aqua Tail again. I should have just done that. Maybe I didn't need to level up at all. Maybe I should have just used Aqua Tail. Get that stab bonus. It's more than enough. And none of them miss. It is a 10% chance to miss, and I actually don't miss a single Aqua Tail the entirety of this playthrough, which is pretty crazy. Let's see if Karen can keep the trend going. Are we going to get a first try on the Karen, or are we going to hit a wall? Starting with the Umbreon, we're going to go for Earthquake, and it is not enough to one-shot. It goes for double team. Earthquake again. Luckily, we hit, and double team doesn't become an annoyance. Out comes the Vileplume. We go for Ice Fang. It's a one-shot. Let's go. Gengar, Crunch should be a one-shot, and I don't know why. There we go. I must have forgot I had Crunch for a second there, but that is a one-shot. Out comes the Houndoom, Aqua Tail, one-shot. Let's go. Still haven't missed. We're level 66. Out comes the Murkrow. Ice Fang is going to be a one-shot. Holy moly, if it wasn't for that Bruno mistake, which is arguably my fault, we would have first tried the Elite Four. Let's see if we can first try the champion. How does Lance go? Coming out with the Gyarados, level 46. We're going to go for Ice Fang. It does about a third, but we get a freeze. Or it goes about a fourth, I guess. That freeze is great, but unfortunately, we get it down to just a sliver, so we're going to get a full restore, so we have to go for Crunch. It does a little bit, it does about half. So should have just used Crunch from the beginning. Out comes the Dragonite. Here with an Ice Fang, it's a one-shot. Second Dragonite, second Ice Fang is a one-shot, which means the last Dragonite is going to be a one-shot. But first, we have an Aerodactyl. Hits us with Thunder Fang. Luckily, nothing crazy happens. We one-shot it with Aqua Tail. Out comes the Dragonite. One-shot with Ice Fang. All that's left is the Charizard. Can we one-shot it with Aqua Tail? We can. First try victory on the champion. We are now level 67, and that is the end of the run. Holy moly. Feraligatr did so much better than even I thought they would, just because of their coverage. They have really good moves, really good coverage for every major battle throughout Johto, and every single attack scales really, really well off of its really strong physical base stat, and it gets a ton of physical EVs throughout the run. And as you can see here, I even forgot to deposit all my Pokemon because I thought this was just going to be one of many attempts like everyone else has been. But there we are, 12 hours and 18 minutes, level 67. Probably could have been a lower level had I just used Aqua Tail against Bruno, and probably even a lower level if I didn't level up so much after the Whitney fight or for the Jasmine fight. There was quite a bit that probably could have been different, and this might have been a sub 60 run had I had taken a different approach or didn't battle every single trainer. Unlike the other 2 starters, this one felt like I was overpowered. This one really made me think that I didn't need to do all of the battles like I have been for every other run because it was so strong throughout the entirety of the playthrough. But that is for Alligator, and that's not the whole challenge. There are tons of other Pokemon, tons of other families to do, which is why I do all the battles, because I know eventually we're going to need all of them. And that might be in the next video because we are going to do more starters with the 4th generation. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Peace.